fun week. So let's get started. All right. So this week we're going to talk income. And the first thing I want to share with you guys is my personal story. And this is not something I've shared with anybody before. It's not something too many people know about me, but I wanted to share it because I feel like it's important to be, hey Shalise, thank you for watching. I wanted to be 100% transparent with you guys and let you know, exactly where I've come from and understand that I have been where you are, and it's okay, and it doesn't have to stay that way. So my personal story is this. I got married really young. I'm talking like 3 days after my 18th birthday, and I had my oldest daughter when I was 19. I did not graduate high school in the traditional way. I ended up going back and getting my GED after I had my daughter, so after I was 19, and then I went to tech school. Now, I did this because I needed to provide for my family. And as a young person making mistakes, you think you're locked into those mistakes, and it's not true. You can always better your situation. And so a lot of people, when they think of income problems, they think, oh, I'm stuck in my situation. That is a mindset we have to change, because you're not. And everybody who thinks that, oh, if I could just win the lottery, oh, if I just had a rich family member pass away, that's not going to happen, right? And so as long as you are stuck in your story that you can't make things better because of whatever limitations you have, you're going to be stuck. There's no quick and dirty way out. There's no quick and easy way out. There's no magic pill. There's none of that, right? And so our society has a bad habit of trying to find the quickest way to a solution and the quickest way to make things better. There's two things that you will never be able to accomplish quickly, correctly, and it have a lasting effect. One is weight loss, and the other is your finances. You are never going to be able to go from not being able to pay your bills to retired like that. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to make some changes. Things are going to have to happen. And you're going to have to give up some pride and just get out of your situation, right? So I say this with the biggest heart, because I have been there. I've been scared to do something. I've been scared, like, what if I'm not good enough? What if it's too late? Did I wait too long? Did I do these things? I waited a whole year after I should have graduated high school to actually do it and then go to school, right? And so I did that to do better for my family. And this is when I was still a single mom. I had divorced my ex-husband at that time. Then I had an issue hit to where I was going through divorce, and I had no family near me and didn't really have a whole lot of help. And so I had to, once I graduated school and was working for a little while, I came across some hard times and I had to move in with my family. Did I want to do that? No, I did not want to do that. I moved out of my house when I was 17. I got emancipated at 17. I had no desire to go back and live with my family, but I sucked up my pride and I did what I had to do. I ended up getting a job and being able to save quite a bit of money and then moving back where I wanted to live. Once I got there, it wasn't easy. I was not doing what I went to school for. Different things happened that, made that not possible to do. Different, situations. For example, like I had not taken my certification test to be certified in what I was doing. And when I had moved, they wouldn't take you if you weren't certified, whereas where I lived before, they would. And so since I didn't get my certifications, I wasn't able to get a job doing what I had went to school for when I moved out to another state. So when I came back, I had been gone for a year. I hadn't done it in a year because I, again, wasn't certified. And so I wasn't able to find work doing it. And instead of just going back to school, sucking it up and getting certified, I took the hard road, right? And I worked 4 jobs. And this was not easy. I didn't hardly ever get to see my kid. Now, it wasn't 4 full-time jobs, mind you. It was like a full-time job and like 3 part-time jobs. But I made it work. And I've always had that drive to make things work. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, you have to have that drive for your business. If you want to have a better life for yourself and your family, you have to have that make it work drive. You have to have that no matter what mentality, right? Like, you're going to make things happen no matter what. You're going to make it work no matter what, and it will. People with that kind of tenacity go on to do amazing things. So when I met Adam, I was working probably 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs when I met Adam. I was working in a mail order pharmacy as a customer service manager, and I was working as a waitress in a Mexican restaurant. Again, I was hustling. I was doing whatever I could. I worked as many hours as I could get. And that kind of started back when I was in high school. Like, I was always working some sort of job because I wanted my own money and I wanted to be independent. And so I went from working 4 jobs, realizing that was not doable. And I worked on my skills. And again, I only had this one tech certificate that I couldn't do anything with. And I couldn't afford to go to college because I'd just gotten in debt for this tech school for like 10 grand. And, you know, I didn't have good credit. And so I was stuck, right? And so I could have said, well, I'm stuck. I might as well just sit here, get on welfare, and just live whatever. I didn't do that, though. Instead, I worked on skills and customer service and sales, and I just worked my butt off at the jobs I had and got promoted, right? Because you can do that. You can get promoted without a college education, and it may not be a ton of money, but it's something. It's better. It's more money for your family, you know? And so that's one of the things that I did. Now, fast forward, during that time I met Adam. He was in the Navy. We weren't making anywhere near what we make now, you know, during that time. And fast forward to I don't know, about 7 years ago, I needed to do something. And it wasn't to help our family necessarily. It was just, I needed to feel my independence again. And so I started a business, and I started a cupcake business. And that went okay for a couple of years. The first couple of years were really, really bad because I didn't know how to price my products, and I didn't know how to, I didn't know anything about business. You know, I'd never had a business. I just kind of went in it and was like, hey, I like to do this. Let's do it. But luckily for me, I had that I'm going to make it happen no matter what mentality. And so because of that, I joined a group called Passion to Profit, a class, and it changed my life. And it actually led me to here today. And so again, starting a business, you have to have that tenacity. Taking that business course, tenacity. It's getting out of your comfort zone. It's doing these things. The biggest and best thing that I've been able to do in order to up my income for my family, to, you know, take part of my independence, to help us get out of debt, to help us go on vacations, to help fund the fun things that we want to do in life, even now, to help our investments, things like that. To replace furniture when we need it. You know, those are the kinds of things that I like to do with the money that I bring into the household. Is thinking outside the box. Learning to get more income in your family, all it boils down to is trying to figure out ways thinking outside of the box. Because just working more hours, it'll bring you in some more money for a little bit, but it's not going to help you. You have to, I don't care how old you are, it is never too late to go back to school. It is never too late to change your situation. It is never too late to work on skills. It's never too late to start a business. You are not stuck where you are, okay? Just remember that. You're not stuck. There's always something that you can do to better your situation. Always. Always. I don't care if you're, you know, completely homeless on the street, there's a way to better your situation. If you are doing your best life, there's a way to better your situation. There's always ways to do better. You are never stuck where you are. So now that I've shared a little bit of my story, and again, you guys, I just want you to know how big that is for me. Telling people that I didn't graduate high school the normal way has always been a very big embarrassment for me. Because, you know, you run a business, you don't want people to think, oh, she's stupid. I'm not stupid. I just made really dumb decisions. And I've never let it stop me from learning and from growing and from educating myself, right? Like, you don't have to go to school to get an education. You can do things to get an education that are not a degree, right? So, and you can use those skills to further your work and your job and things like that. So, let's talk about how to tell if something is an income problem or if it's other things. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I asked you what you thought was keeping you back with your finances. Many people said they thought they had an income problem, but then they actually realized that it was just a budget problem. And so today we're going to talk about how to tell if this is you, if you actually have an income problem, and what to do about it, okay? So we're going to discuss passive income and also why it's a key to retirement and wealth, all right? So here's how to tell if you have an income problem. You have an income problem if the money that you bring in cannot cover your needs, okay? A lot of people think that they don't make enough money, but actually they just don't use it in the right ways. Again, that's budgeting, right? We've talked about that before. If you use a credit card to make up the difference in what you're bringing home and you're spending, then you either have to make more money or you have to spend less of it. That's why a budget is so important. Now, if you are making, again, if you're using a credit card to cover your basic needs because you aren't bringing enough income to cover them, you have an income problem and we need to do something, and you need to do something about that, right? Remember, sometimes you need a bigger shovel to dig yourself out of the hole, right? Sometimes it's not about the size of the hole, it's the size of the shovel. And so you have to get a bigger shovel. So here's a few ways that you can increase your income right now, okay? Again, these are not fast, quick, dirty ways. There's no magic pill here. These are just ways that you can do to bring in more money for your family so you can get out of debt and get on a budget and pay your bills and, you know, all of these things. Number one is if you are currently working, ask for a raise. We have a file in the group all about how to do that. You guys are welcome to go take a look at that. I'll probably be revamping it and rebranding it soon to make it look more on brand with what we're doing now. But it's there. You're welcome to go take a look. It's got tons of tips. You can Google, how do I get a raise? And there's so many articles about it, right? So take a look at that. I won't get into it too much here because we only have 30 minutes. Second, find a better paying job. Don't be married to where you're at. It's okay. They would replace you in a heartbeat if something were to happen to you. You can replace them if you need to. It's okay. Like, loyalty is important, but if they're not willing to give you a raise, find somebody who will pay you your worth. You know, look for a different job. It might mean your family has to move states. It might mean your family has to move to a different town. That's okay. Your family will survive that. It'll be fine. If you need to make more money to live, then do it. You know, you have to think outside the box. 3, go back to school. A friend of mine realized that she just couldn't do it. She had to do something else, and so she went back to school. Now, she had to take out student loans for it, and so she could get a nanny to watch her kid. You know what? I commend that. Like, I don't agree with student loans, but you have to do what you have to do, and you have to look at them as an investment in yourself. Now, I'm not saying go back to school and pay 20 grand for a degree that's only going to make you 15 grand a year. That's dumb. Don't do that. Don't go into debt for money that for anything less than what you'll be able to make back, right? So don't go into debt for $10,000 if the job is only going to pay you $5,000. That's not okay. Don't do that. And that goes for bigger schools too. So make sure that you look at those numbers. Number 4, start a side hustle. Drive for Uber, drive for Lyft, get a part-time job, start taking pictures on the side of families, start a business, whatever it is, like, just find a side hustle. Sell things on Amazon. Gary Vaynerchuk, if you don't follow him, he's all over Instagram. He's all over TikTok. He's all over really any social media, and he's written several really good books about sales. And one of the biggest things he tells people, or kids even, that are trying to make money is to resell, right? You go, you yard sell, you find these cheap products, and then you resell them on eBay or Amazon or whatever, and you make money on it. Now, is it work? Yeah, it's work. But you know what? It's bringing in extra money, and it's a side hustle. That's a side hustle. 5, work more than one job. Like I said, there was a time where I worked 4 jobs. Was I tired? Hell yes, I was tired. You'll be tired too. But you know what? You have to do what you have to do to better your situation. There's no magic pill. It just takes hard work, time, and commitment, and you can get there. All right, next, consider living with a roommate to cut expenses. So if you have a place and you have an extra room, get a roommate. I hate roommates, but you know what? If it came down to it and it meant I was paying half my mortgage, then by all means, I'm gonna do it. You know, it sucks, but again, you have to think outside the box. You have to do what you have to do in order to bring in more money to cover your expenses. Next is the same thing, rent out a room. Sell stuff online, and that could be your old stuff that you don't use anymore. It could be any of those things. You can use reward and cashback apps. Now, these probably are not going to give you a ton of money, especially not enough to, cover all your needs. But you know what they will do is they'll give you a start, and they will give you something to go towards it, right? And so every little bit helps. Like, don't ever discount any sort of savings that you have. Now, this doesn't mean I want you to go out and coupon and start buying all of the things because you have a coupon for them. That's not saving you money. Now, if you can get like one of these extreme couponers and get the stuff for free or be paid to do it, girl, spend your time and do it because it is worth it. If you're not doing that, only use coupons for things that you actually are going to buy. Don't buy something just because you have a coupon. Okay, that's not doing anybody any good. And then lastly, cut unnecessary spending. Now, we've talked about budgeting, we've talked about unnecessary spending, we've talked about all of that. I promise you there are still things that you can probably cut, okay? You may not be able to, cut a ton, but it's going to help a little bit. Exactly, a few $100s with Ebates. Now, that few $100s can go a long way. Like, that's decent money. You definitely never want to discount that. And there's so many apps out there. There's Ebates, there's, I don't even know because I don't use them and I probably should, but there's Walmart Savings Catcher. There's all of these apps that you can use that are going to help you to save money, right? So lastly, we're going to talk about, let's say income is not your problem, okay? And you're now making money, but one day you would like to stop working, okay? Here's a fact. If you do not learn how to get your money to work for you, then you will always have to work for your money. What does that mean? That means if you can't figure out a way to earn money without working for it, like passive income, investments, things like that, then you will never not have a day where you are not having to put in work for a job, for a business, for something. Now, that may not seem like a big deal now, but when you're 80, when you're 70, when you're these other ages, you might not want to be working. You might want to be relaxing with your feet up. But unless you figure out how to work passive income, it's not going to happen. So we're going to talk about this. Passive income is defined as income that is earned and maintained with little to no effort, okay? Here's some examples of passive income. Robo investing, you might have heard of sites like Robinhood or things like that. Those are robo investing. Real estate investments trust or REITs. Now, what this is you invest in like real estate as a group. Okay, this is one of the things that we do, and you make dividends on this. You can do Airbnb rentals if you have a home that an extra house or some property or something. You can rent that out. And you can rent out a room. Did you know that? You can rent out just one single room on Airbnb. So if you have an extra room in your house, maybe rent it on Airbnb. It'd probably make you more money than renting it out to a roommate. High yield dividend stocks and funds. You can talk to a financial advisor to find out which ones are right for you. Peer-to-peer lending. This is another way that we invest money. We also do the high yield dividend stocks and funds. We have that too. Peer-to-peer lending is something we do. You can invest through things like, I'm spacing on the name, but Adam knows it, and I'll try to see if I can find out what it is from him. But Lending Club, that's what it is. There's Lending Club. There's all kinds of them, ones that you can do. But basically what it is you're giving money, you're letting people borrow money that could not otherwise get financing, right, for different things. And what we've seen is a lot of people trying to pay off debt. And you give these little micro loans to these people, and then the interest rates, they as they pay back, you get your money back. Now, there is risk to these types of investments because the risk is that they might not pay this back, okay? But it's a small risk because it's $25. I think you can start with like $100 for investing. It's a small risk based on it's not a small risk. It's a small amount of money spread out a long time. Again, talk with an investment advisor, do some research on your own. I'm not here to tell you what you should invest in. All I want you to know is that you should invest. But there are some rules to that, so we'll get to those in just a minute. Okay, so peer-to-peer lending. Another way, another type of lending you can do is through business lending, and this is something we've just come across, and we're looking into doing it now. Well, we're waiting to see if it's going to pan out, but basically, it's a company called Mainvest, and you can invest as little as $100 in local businesses. And so I encourage you to go look on mainvest.com to see if there's anything that interests you. You can read their story, you can get their numbers, you can find out all the information about the business, you can talk to the business owners. And like I said, you can get started for as little as $100. And some of these returns are insane. I've seen 50% all the way up to 175% of your investment back. So what happens is they do kind of like a GoFundMe where they try to raise money. And if they meet that amount, then you as an investor get paid quarterly based on how much revenue they generate, right? So they don't have to go broke paying you back. You still get your money plus a really good investment, and they have 6 years to pay it off. Now, what happens is if there's 2 things that can happen. One, they don't meet their goal and you get your money back and no harm, no foul. You've lost out on a little bit of interest for a little while. 2, they couldn't reach their goal and then not pay it and go into default, and then you're stuck and you might lose out on some money, or you can take them to court and deal with court fees and things like that. So with any investment, it is always a risk, okay? So never, ever, ever invest more than you can afford to lose, okay? Never do that. That's gambling. We don't gamble, we invest. And don't invest in things like that until you have an emergency fund and that you have paid off all the debt but your house. Now, the only stipulation to that is if you have a company that a job that is a 401k, you would want to go ahead and invest in that. No matter if you're paying off debt or not, you should always invest at least up to the amount that they match, because otherwise you are throwing away free money. So always take advantage of your 401ks. Other than that, wait to invest until you have some savings and that you are out of debt. The next way another way of passive income is CDs and bonds. And again, you can talk to a financial advisor. They can tell you the best way for you. I'm not here to tell you what to invest in. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice, just sharing some ways that you can do it and what we have done. There's really, you want to make sure that you do your research before investing or starting a project that become passive after a small window of work. For example, okay, that's another thing. So do some research. So there are a few things that you can do passive that become passive after you do a little bit of work, right? So for instance, if you write a blog and you use advertising, that you did a little bit of work on, and it's gonna, as time goes by, if it gets views, and eventually it's gonna start making money. Okay, same thing if you write an ebook. It's a little bit of time, and you can eventually get a lot of money from that. Becoming a notary, a brand ambassador, or even renting out your stuff. Like, I didn't know this was the thing, but if you have things like yard tools or your car or whatever, apparently there are ways that you can rent those out to earn extra money. So again, it's all about thinking outside the box. There are countless ways to make money these days. Money is so easy to come by, and I don't say that as somebody who was in a bad place and now is a good place. I say that as somebody who sees it. Like, money is everywhere. Like, it's out there. It's a resource, right? Like, obviously it's a finite resource, but you can always get more of it. You just have to work for it or figure out a way to get it to work for you. Okay, so passive income is what allows, and I'm just reading my notes, guys, sorry about that if I look away, but passive income is what allows someone to become wealthy, okay? So this is done by replacing the income from your job with passive income, okay? And so this is also how you retire, and you can't do either if you never create passive income, because you'll always require work or another person to pay you for your time, right? And so that's why passive income is so important, right? Because it doesn't matter how much time I put into my stocks, they're making money all the time. And every day they're making money. And so that's passive income. And when you can reach the point where your passive income exceeds your actual income, you are wealthy. If you've made it that far, congratulations. That is amazing. I would love to talk to you and hear your story and share it with our group. And another thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to get into an example of how investing, like how making little changes. We talked about this last week, but I want to just reiterate it, how making little changes can make a huge impact on your finances, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to shout out my mother-in-law. Now, you guys might have heard the story of, Adam's mom and dad and how they had borrowed on their house several times and they had done all these things. And then his dad passed away, and it was a really, sad thing, but they weren't 100% prepared. They had life insurance, which was good. He had Social Security, which was good, but she was left with a lot of debt. Well, she, I think, is in her 60s. I'm pretty positive she's in her 60s. You would think somebody like that would just be like, well, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. And we assumed that she was thinking that way too. Well, she really surprised us this last weekend. We got a message from her, and she was telling us all about how she had found Dave Ramsey and was looking at what we had done and had started saving, was saving a lot of money and was following all the advice and had managed to pay off a ton of debt and was working towards paying off her house. And we were so proud and so excited for her. Like, I couldn't believe it. So it really is never too late. Now, mind you, she's a single person, a single woman, widow, never really worked out of the home when he was alive, has worked out of the home some since he's been gone, is living off of Social Security, and what she's managed to save from working for just a few years, and is still able to make a plan to pay off debt. If she can do it, I promise you, any one of you can do it. Any one of you can get out of debt, make more money, save your money, and pay off your houses and work towards retirement. You can totally do it. Now, if you're older, obviously, retirement might be pushed out a little bit more for you, or you might just have to find, you might have to work until Social Security kicks in, but you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna be comfortable, able to cover your needs. For those of you that are younger, and by younger, I mean 40, 50, 30, 20, any age in between, you have time. You just have to get on. You just have to be serious and just start it, okay? So here's what I'm going to leave you with. So last week we talked about a few examples of ways that we can make small changes and invest them and what the difference would be. So we looked at Oreos, right? So here's some numbers I ran for you. If you were to switch to Oreos, from Oreos, the name brand, to the store brand, you would... First of all, Oreos cost about $3, okay? In 1 month, if you buy Oreos once a week, for the example, you would have spent $12. In a year, you would have spent $144. In 5 years, you would have spent a total of $720. Now, let's flip that, and let's say we switch to the store brand. In a month, you would save $7, excuse me, $7.92. In a year, you would save $95.04. And in 5 years, you would have saved $475.20. Now, that's not a huge savings. I get it. Like, Oreos are great, whatever. But let's look at that and see if we invested that, okay? So every year, we're saving $95.04. Alicia, I was just talking about you earlier. I need to get in touch with you so we can talk about how you're doing with your progress. Like, we need to talk. All right, so let's say you're investing that savings, right, that you're making on those Oreos, and that's $95.04, and you're gonna do that every single year. Every year, you're gonna put aside that $95.04 that you saved on your Oreos, okay? And in 10 years, okay, this is going to blow your mind. Now remember, this is just switching from name brand to store brand. In 10 years, you will have $1,500. Now that does not seem like a lot, okay? But just remember, that's investing only, $792 a month? which is $95 a year. So after 10 years, you would have $1,500, which means here's how much you would have made, okay? You invested a total of $950 over 10 years just by giving up your name brand Oreos and switching to store brand and then investing that money, the difference. You would have made on your Oreo money $454. Okay, so that's just for Oreos. Just imagine to yourself how much money you could invest and how much money you would have if you were able to put those debt payments towards investing, if you were able to put a house payment towards investing, if you were able to put, just a couple hundred more dollars towards investing, where would you be in 10 years, right? Again, this is just for switching name brand to store brand. And that's the kind of money you can make. So I will leave you guys with that. I want to ask one more question. If anybody wants to share, if you would like to find out what money you're missing out on, we can play a fun little game. And we can do it here, and I'll post it in the group so everybody can figure it out as well. If anybody wants to share the number or the amount of money they are paying towards debt or were paying towards debt, let's figure out how much money you could have in 10 years if you were to invest that. So if anybody watching wants to share that number, I'll give it just a few minutes to pop through because it does take a couple of seconds to get me the notifications for messages. But I'd love to find out. So if you're curious and you want to know how much money you could have in 10 years if you didn't have to pay your debt payment, let's figure it out. And if not, if nobody wants to do it, that's fine. I'm going to post the link to an investment calculator in the group tomorrow. And you guys can go check that out and figure it out for yourself. And it's super easy to use. 15. Okay, perfect. All right, Alicia, we're going to use your number. So if you paid $1,500, now is that per month? All right, we'll consider that's per month. Okay. And so, all right, 1,582. We're going to calculate that each month. All right, if you had been able to apply that to investing versus debt, you would now have, in 10 years, you would have $273,715.87. That means you would have made $82,293 on your investments in 10 years. Now, 1,582, if you can do that towards debt, and then you can just wait 10 years, you've got over $250,000. How insane is that? Like just flipping those numbers around to see debt versus income, right? That passive income. Yeah, wow, right? Like that's insane. Like this is why it's so important to get out of debt and to pay off houses and to do these things, because you free up your money to do amazing, amazing things. And that's just at a 7% interest rate over 10 years. Like, it's so amazing once you figure out the power that money has and that money can do for you, right? You just realize that you want to live your life in a different way and you want to do all you can to get it to work for itself. And so that's so exciting. If anybody else wants to do it, we can do it. Like I said, I will post the investment calculator in the group tomorrow, and you guys can, the link to it, so you guys can play around with it and see what your numbers are. Now, I don't want you to get discouraged that if you have debt and you're paying this month and more towards that you're like, oh, I could have had all this money. Don't be discouraged. Use it as a tool to get you pumped up and excited and ready to make those changes, so that way you can invest that money going forward. And in 10 years, you can come back and say, wow, look at how much money I've made for myself in passive income. Like, this is crazy. So, okay, Shalice, you want to do yours. All right, so $11.96 a month for Shalice. If you were able to apply that every month to investing versus debt at 7% interest in 10 years, you would have $206,930.58, which means you would have made in interest at 7%, $62,214.58 in 10 years by doing nothing. That is not money you had to work for. That is money that you just put in the stock market, you invested it wisely, and it made on average, these investments make about 7 to 8% a year, and they usually double after so many years. And so $62,000 in 10 years, what does that break down to? Let's see. Let me put my calculator. Let's see what that work breaks down to in a year. Sorry, 1 second. I'm not good with math. Otherwise, I would totally just do this on the fly. Here, I can do it on my thing real quick because I'm on my phone for the live. So I'm going to do this math real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and say good night for the evening. All right, so let's see. I got to take off my tip calculator there. Why won't it work? Okay, go away. Oh, come back. Go. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Nope. All right. Well, we'll have to pull this up on here. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. Oh, there we go. All right. Calculator. I need to pay off my debt. Yeah. So best way to do that, like we talked about, get on a budget, figure out ways to bring in more income, and, make it work. All right. So 62,214.58 divided by 10. All right. So that is $6,221 a year. Think about how many hours of work you would have to do to pull in an extra $6,221 a year. Depending on how much you made, that extra money it's going to be quite a lot of hours, right? For that extra money. But if you can get out of debt and start investing, you can make that money doing absolutely nothing. So hope you guys got took a lot away from this. If you are watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Let us know how you enjoyed it so we can keep offering great content and great videos and keep teaching you guys things. If you are watching and you are local to Murfreesboro, I'm going to be joining my great friend Jennifer Otto for an Adulting 101 class this Thursday, the 20th. And you can find all the details. I'll be sharing that this week in the group, probably tomorrow. And so bring your young adults and anybody you know that needs to get better with budgeting, with credit, learning about homes, anything like that, and bring them along. Again, you can get tickets. I'll make sure to post a link tomorrow so you guys can find that. Have a great week. It was awesome talking to you guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.